Have you ever wondered who controls a large portion of the world's wealth? You may think of ABC, Apple, or Microsoft, but I'm telling you, none of them is the correct one, because the real whale is none other than BlackRock's company, a multinational investment management corporation. With over $10 trillion in assets under their management, this behemoth has its hands on the pulse of global markets, shaping the financial future for individuals, institutions, and even governments. So many questions can be asked here. What is the story behind BlackRock? Who are the founders of the firm? And how did it rise to become one of the largest investment companies in the world? Join us in this video as I will delve into the history and the influence of BlackRock on the world's economy. But before that, do subscribe to my channel so you'll never miss any future videos. BlackRock Incorporated is a multinational investment management firm headquartered in New York City. It began as a risk management and institutional fixed income asset manager and gradually grew to the point where it operates internationally with 70 offices in 30 countries and clients in 100 countries. Larry Fink, the chairman and CEO of BlackRock, launched the firm in 1988, as well as Robert Scopato, Susan Wagner, Barbara Novick, Ben Golub, Hugh Frater, and Ralph Schlosstein. They must have struck a bargain with the devil, since this firm was profitable within months and the group's assets had doubled to $2.7 billion by 2023. In 1992, the company changed its name to BlackRock. That same year, the company managed $17 billion in assets, growing to $53 billion by 94. To say the least, BlackRock's growth was meteoric. Over the years, BlackRock would expand both organically and via acquisitions. BlackRock's purchases would increase its assets under management to an absurd $325 billion by 2004. Nowhere near as ridiculous as it is today, but back then, it was already massive enough for the United States government to contract with BlackRock to help resolve the fallout of the financial meltdown of 2008. By 2009, BlackRock would be the world's leading asset manager. BlackRock is larger than the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, the world's largest bank, and has been regarded as a specter haunting Wall Street for several years. Nonetheless, it remains a mystery to the majority of people. However, this has not prevented it from earning a good amount of criticism. After all, you can't get as big as BlackRock without rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. They have been chastised for their environmental effect of their properties. BlackRock is one of the top 3 shareholders in nearly every major oil business, and it is one of the top 10 shareholders in 7 of the top 10 coal companies. This would be rather severe allegations, but BlackRock tries to deflect them by investing extensively in environmental preservation and sustainability. That's correct. Even genuine criticism won't stop the rise of this beast. BlackRock manages several trillion dollars in assets, accounting for around 10% of all financial assets worldwide. However, its scope extends much beyond simply purchasing and holding stocks and bonds. BlackRock advises central banks, financial ministries, and large institutional investors such as state funds, pension funds, and insurance firms. They also use their vast amount of assets to invest in companies worldwide. There is almost nothing in the financial markets that BlackRock is not involved in some way. BlackRock operates globally from its headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. In addition to large investments in major US banks, they own significant shares in companies on almost every continent. Whether it's automobile manufacturing in Germany, iron ore mining in South America, or gold mining in Africa. So, how exactly do they do everything? The financial industry is constantly evolving. What worked a few years ago will most likely not work now. BlackRock is well aware of the situation, so they created an immensely strong software platform called Aladdin to assist them in dealing with the changing tides. Aladdin's job is to conduct risk assessments for BlackRock's clients. It obtains sensitive data from significant organizations such as banks and insurance firms and utilizes it to do the high-stakes risk analysis for which BlackRock charges excessive fees. Aladdin is a 5,000 computer network. Its mission is to monitor the millions of deals and evaluate their clients' portfolios 24 hours a day, analyzing every potential circumstance and pinpointing with horrifying precision. This software is so common that it has effectively become the central nervous system for some of the world's top investing firms. I'm guessing you've never heard of it. Aladdin, on the other hand, performs considerably more for BlackRock than just risk analysis. This software gives them access to sensitive data from major organizations throughout the world, including banks, pension funds, and insurance firms. Essentially, they are being given insight into the management of over $20 trillion in assets. In addition to the massive $10 trillion in assets that BlackRock already manages, it has access to such riches and knowledge. BlackRock has established a comfortable position in the global economy. It has stock and voting rights in many of Europe's largest firms, including those in energy, oil and gas, transportation, and food, all of which are necessary for society to run. BlackRock's hold on society is far more powerful than you would think. It controls public debt in the form of bonds. It holds pension funds for a large number of people, and it also has political influence, serving as an advisor to whole governments on a routine basis. Central banks engage BlackRock to audit ordinary banks and provide management advice. When the institution in charge of a country's whole financial machinery has you on the fast dial, you're in a league of your own. The irony here is that since BlackRock is so large, they are frequently substantial shareholders in the banks that central banks want them to audit and advise. This implies that BlackRock is essentially sitting on both sides of the table during these discussions, advising the government on how to manage banks that they already control. Even if that weren't the case, this just gives BlackRock more access to confidential and extremely sensitive information, which will serve them to make them even more wealthy. So, who was the key individual responsible for creating this juggernaut? If you're looking for someone to thank or blame for the development of BlackRock, look no further than billionaire Larry Fink. Fink has long been recognized for wanting more than he has and for knowing the markets inside and out. Ironically, he would only become the founder of such a phenomenally successful firm after his employers suffered a large $100 million loss. Fink began his career on Wall Street at the age of 23, where he worked on bond structuring and trading. As a result, he rose fast through the ranks and became something of a legend in a decade, while helping to build the debt securitization market, which transformed how loans were handled on Wall Street for better or worse. Larry Fink's meteoric climb is riddled with ironic turns. He not only created one of the key instruments that contributed to the economic crisis, but he was also the one hired by the US Treasury to clean it up. He would become known as a great investing genius. By the age of 31, he had been Boston's youngest managing director in history, contributing $1 billion in assets to their bottom line. Larry was a golden goose for all intents and purposes until he wasn't. Larry would wind up losing $100 million for his firm and would become a toxic asset overnight after being thrown out of a company where he had spent the previous 12 years creating tremendous amounts of money. He would eventually help build BlackRock and transform it into the behemoth it is today, not without a few stumbles along the road. But one thing is certain, Larry Fink bounced. He's worth nearly $1 billion now. So, in addition to holding several trillion dollars in assets and having a say in the financial decisions of the United States government, we're not done talking about how extremely powerful BlackRock is. They are far more involved than most people realize in a few really popular firms and projects. BlackRock holds a significant chunk of Apple stock, providing them access to the company's large market dominance in smartphones and tablets. They also own stock in Microsoft, the other IT behemoth. BlackRock also has significant holdings in pharmaceutical businesses, such as Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, because they know where to concentrate their investments. As previously stated, some of BlackRock's greatest assets are in significant oil corporations such as ExxonMobil and Chevron. BlackRock has also invested in a number of significant projects. Its footprint has grown in sustainable investment as well as environmental, social, and corporate governance. Basically, they've spent a lot of money attempting to go green, while also looking beautiful. BlackRock has utilized its enormous power to call attention to environmental and diversity concerns, such as sending letters to CEOs and investing in programs such as the Carbon Disclosure Project. BlackRock appears to have been lobbying the US government to enact laws forcing private corporations to publicly report their climate impact, board diversity, and other metrics, while also financially supporting companies that aren't doing any of those things. Truly a powerful and influential company. With $10 trillion in assets, it is no wonder that some people see BlackRock as an all-powerful financial institution. While its influence cannot be denied, it is important to remember that, at the end of the day, BlackRock is a company like any other and subject to the same market forces. Only time will tell if BlackRock can maintain its dominance in an ever-changing global economy. What are your thoughts regarding this revelation? Share them in the comments section below. Also, you can give this video a thumbs up. As always, thanks for watching and see you again at the next one.